Hey, Morgan Brookshire Family friends. This is video number 3 for the Brookshire side and a little bit chilly out here on the porch this morning, but I wanted to rush out before the sun got up, came through the windows and blinded me. And I needed to get this video made while things were still in my mind because short-term memory doesn't work too well these days. So I needed to get out here and tell you what I've got in there for this episode. This episode is going to focus on the Joyce family and the Allen family, which you're descended from, and this is on Granny's side. Before I start jumping into what we're going to talk about, and we're going to spend most of our time taking a look at those two families that came to North Carolina in the early to mid 1700s. And the location where we're going to focus is Rockingham, Guilford, and Stokes counties, mainly Rockingham County. And I'm going to walk you back up there and tell you how you're related to these people, how you're descended from them. And it's some really neat stuff. We're going to talk about the Coons and the Possums. Y'all are Coons and Possums, and I'll tell you how in just a minute. Before we jump into that, I want to recommend to you a good website if you really want to see the extent of your family tree, and it's free. It's called FamilySearch.org. And it's the free version of Ancestry.com. Ancestry.com is normally $99 for 6 months. And that's a little steep for a lot of people, especially if you can't use it all the time. I use it every day. But if you just use it once in a while, that's too expensive. And so you can go to FamilySearch.org. I keep looking up because out this window, the doves roost in my cypress trees, and they're just everywhere. I don't know what's going on. They're having a convention or something. But anyway, FamilySearch.org is the free version of Ancestry. It doesn't have everything that Ancestry has, but it has a lot of good stuff. And it takes a while to get used to it, how to maneuver it. But if you can just kind of chunk it out a little bit along, the best thing about FamilySearch.org is a lot of people contribute to it. Now, not every single thing is accurate, but most of it is. When you get the hang of it and you hook into your family tree on there, a lot of that, all the researchers that have done stuff, it hooks it in, and you can take some of your lines back to the Middle Ages, and that's pretty good. It's pretty interesting, and I've been on it this morning looking at the Joyce and Allen families because they're pretty accurate. The researchers for those families have done a good job. So it's FamilySearch.org. You sign up for it. They don't sell your information, so you won't be getting, tons of junk emails. They just don't do it. I'll tell you, it's owned by the Mormons who own Ancestry.com too, because in the Mormon religion, ancestry is really important. They baptize for their ancestors and that kind of thing. So they have huge amounts of genealogical material stored in their mountains out west in these vaults. And so I'm not advocating, that religion speak of, but they're really the premier genealogists in the country, and they have more databases than anybody. So they own it, but anybody can sign up free. They won't hound you. They won't try to come and proselytize you. It's solely for genealogy. I've used it for many years, and it's safe and good. Just a tip. If you want to know more, I can't tell you even 1/1000th of everything you can find about your family if you'll go to a place like that. But I know it takes time, and a lot of you are busy and you can't do it. But one day you'll have the time to do it. Okay. FamilySearch.org. Go ahead and register. You don't have to give them a lot of information. Give them a fake name if you want to. It doesn't matter. And get on there and start hooking in. Go find my stuff on there if you want to. And Donna's line and my line's on there. So if you go look for Donna, just hook into hers, and you can branch out. You have the little arrows after each line. You just click that arrow, and it keeps taking you and taking you and taking you. You can go back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, and you can read things about your ancestors. So do that. Here's where we're going to start today. So Granny's grandmother was Barbara Sharp, Brookshire. Barbara Sharp died early on, and Johnny in Brookshire, her grandfather, remarried a woman named Sarah Sherrill. And so, but Barbara we don't really know. I can't find when Barbara died. If anybody knows, tell me. I've looked at records everywhere. I think she died probably around between 1898 and 1900. He married Sarah Sherrill in 1900, so Barbara was gone by then. And I don't know where she's buried. I can't find an obituary in the paper back then. I don't know what happened to Barbara Sharp, but she died pretty early. And so Granny's grandfather, great grandfather John Perrin Sharp, that was Barbara's daddy. He was a Confederate soldier, and he died in 1921. And I know he's buried at Heiss Hill Cemetery in Buncombe County. I think it's near Candler. But that was her great grandfather. That was Barbara's dad. So Barbara might be buried there. Some of them are buried at Pleasant Hill or Pleasant Grove Methodist in Buncombe County. Some of you might know Pleasant Hill. I think some of the Sharps and Brookshires are buried there. So Barbara could be there. She's not at Morning Star, where a lot of your people are in Canton. She's not there, I don't think. So anyway, Barbara's dad was John Perrin Sharp, and he was in the, I want to say the 60th Regiment of North Carolina, which was made up of men from the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee. And John Perrin Sharp's daddy, Robert David Sharp, who was born in 1804, he was old when the Civil War broke out, but he joined the 16th Regiment of the Confederate Army at his age and saw some action in Virginia. He lived till 1881, and he was born in Rockingham County, and that's mainly where we're going to focus today. Robert David Sharp, and he married a woman named Matilda Joyce. And really, it's Matilda's line that we're focusing on today. So this is Granny's great-great-grandmother, Matilda Joyce Sharp. That's where we're hooking in today. And she was born in about 1811. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time, in most of the videos I tell you, well, here's what was going on when this census was taken. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to focus on people today, on Matilda Joyce Sharp's line from Rockingham County, North Carolina. The Joyces were Scots-Irish Presbyterians. They were Scottish. They have a tartan. They're a clan. You can join the Joyce clan if you want to do that. Most of the Scottish clans have an association. They have one. Hundreds of websites on Joyce family history. You can find them. I'll try to post some on the Facebook page under this video after I get this posted. But I'm looking at my notes to make sure that I'm doing exactly what I want to do. Again, these families came to the New World through colonial Virginia primarily. We're talking about more colonial Virginia families right now. And most of them are 1600s. So a lot of your people are from the 1600s. They came to North Carolina in the early 1700s. To what was then Guilford County. In the colonial days, they were and it told me I was offline to check my connection. So I don't know what that blip's going to do. I hope it didn't erase everything I just said. We're going to find out. So the colonial counties were big counties, and smaller counties were carved out of them later. So Rockingham was carved out of Guilford. And that's why we're focusing on that, because that's really where and some of them are buried there. We don't know where, but probably on family land when they died. So we're talking about Matilda Joyce Sharp, and her parents were Ambrose Joyce and Celia Joyce, and they were like second or third cousins. I've already told you it was not uncommon for people to marry their cousins. There just weren't enough people available to court and marry. And sometimes people married first cousins. I had them in my family. You had some in yours. But they were like second or third cousins. They were real close. And they were descended from two lines. There were two Joyce brothers. Joyce brothers. Wasn't she a psychologist? There were two brothers named Joyce who came from Virginia to Rockingham County, North Carolina, and settled. And one of them was named Thomas Joyce, and one was named Alexander Joyce. They both had two sons named John. They each named their sons John. And to keep them apart, people in the community started referring to one of the Joyces as John Coon Joyce and the other as John Possum Joyce. You say, well, how in the world? Well, we don't really know for sure, but they do use those designations in legal documents. On some of the deeds from back then, they had to distinguish which was which. They could have said son of Thomas or son of Alexander, but they wrote, this is John Coon Joyce, and this is John Possum Joyce. And the family story handed down was that the two boys were out hunting. The two John cousins were out hunting and had their coon dogs with them. And they started bragging about which dogs were the best. And one of them said, my dog can bite like a coon. And the other one said, well, my dog bites like a possum. And so they say that stuck. And the John Coon Joyce, who was the son of Thomas Joyce and Elizabeth Smith, and the John Possum Joyce was the son of Alexander Joyce and Sarah Alston. And you're descended from both of them because they're the two brothers. And Ambrose, who was Matilda's Sharp's father, Ambrose was from the Coon Joyce line, and Celia was from the Possum Joyce line. So y'all are coons and possums. And that's pretty good because they were both well-respected men. They owned a lot of land in Rockingham County, hundreds and hundreds of acres. So we're going to talk about this John Coon Joyce for a minute. John Coon Joyce married a woman named Peggy Tate. Her name was Margaret, but the nickname was Peggy back then. And the Tate line, if you go to Family Search and sign up and follow your line out, you'll see a lot about the Tates. They go back to England. And John Coon Joyce's daddy was Thomas Joyce. And let me look here a little bit on my notes and see what I need to see on here. Rockingham, yeah, I got all of that. And okay. So the Joyces came from colonial Virginia. And there's a lot I could say about that and how they came over in the 1600s. And I'll come back to that later. But I do want to tell you this. They really helped found the Presbyterian Church in North Carolina. So one of the oldest Presbyterian churches is in Rockingham County, I believe 1759. And they helped found that. And there's plaques on the side of the road. If you go up through Rockingham County and ride around in Stokes County, you'll see Joyce family plaques up there. And you'll see there's a little place that's got a little memorial it's called the Joyce Community. You can go to the Joyce Community. The old schoolhouse used to be standing there. I think it's gone now, but there's pictures online of the Joyce Schoolhouse that the Joyces founded. Old building. And they've got a little memorial there. They founded what were called reading rooms. The Presbyterian Joyces were known as dissenters because the religion, the official religion of the area of the colonies was Anglicanism. And they were dissenters from Scotland who were Presbyterians. They were Calvinists, so they founded Presbyterianism, and a lot of the Presbyterian churches were founded by the Joyce family. One of the key persons that you need to know about is Elijah Joyce, who was a Revolutionary War soldier. You've got a couple of dozen Revolutionary War soldiers in your family history. You know, they're there. And Elijah Joyce had a pretty good distinguished record. We're going to talk about two Revolutionary War soldiers today, Elijah and Valentine Allen, when we get to the Allens in a minute. And there's a big monument. I'll put a picture of it up on Facebook that commemorates from Rockingham County all of these soldiers in the Revolution. And Elijah Joyce is on it, and Valentine Allen is on it. So more revolutionary people that are documented. You can join the SAR and the DAR under Elijah Joyce or Valentine Allen. There's a DAR chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution chapter in Virginia, named in honor of Valentine Allen. So that's your ancestor there. So those are the Joyces. I've really just scratched the surface on them. If you want to know more about that family, and there's lots to read, just Google the Joyce family history or Joyce Family Association, and you'll find pages and pages. Just make sure it's the Joyces from Rockingham County, North Carolina, and you can read till your head falls off. It's just so interesting, but I don't want to tie you up. I'm at 16 minutes, and I need to move on to the Allens. Now, we're back to Matilda Joyce Sharp. That's Granny's great-grandmother. And we're going to go to the Celia Joyce line. She's a Possum Joyce. Elijah's in the Possum Joyce too. Ambrose Joyce was in the Coon Joyce that she married. So Elijah Joyce married Elizabeth Allen. Elijah, the Revolutionary soldier. Elizabeth Allen was the daughter of Colonel Valentine Allen, who was also a Revolutionary War soldier. Valentine Allen married a woman named Nancy Ann Arnold. Now, there's a lot you can say about Valentine Allen. Google him. Just Google Valentine Allen from the Revolutionary War, and you can read about your ancestor. Valentine Allen would be Granny's fifth great-grandfather. And he married Nancy Ann Arnold. Now, the thing I wanted to emphasize on the Allens is that they are connected to Reverend Robert Hunt, and I mentioned him in a previous Morgan video. Reverend Robert Hunt came to Jamestown with the original settlers. He was the first pastor in the New World to stay here. He's buried in Jamestown. I showed you on a previous video, or I posted a picture of Donna at his burial place in Jamestown when we were up there a few years ago. Just a few years ago, they discovered 4 graves, 4 burials inside the walls of the original church at Jamestown. They've only found the foundation of the church. The original church from 1607, of course, has been gone a long time. It wasn't made of things that would last, but they have found the foundations of it, archaeologists have, and they found 4 skeletons buried in what would have been the chancel of the church, and one of them was Reverend Robert Hunt. They know it from DNA. His bones were there. Reverend Robert Hunt, who was the first minister in the New World, and you are descended from him a couple of times. In the Morgan video, I told you were descended from his sister Angelica Hunt, who married a Cobbs. We talked about Ambrose Cobbs and the Cobbs who helped found Bruton Parish Church in Williamsburg, Virginia. You're descended from the Cobbs. Donna went and sat in the pew of her Cobb ancestors, and I put the picture of Ambrose Cobb's grave on the Facebook page. So you descended from these people on Morgans and Brookshires. Here on the Brookshire side, you're descended directly from Angelica's brother, Reverend Robert Hunt, the first pastor in the New World. He was an Anglican priest. Let me tell you how you get there, just to connect the dots for you. From Valentine Allen, from Colonel Valentine Allen, Revolutionary War soldier, his mother was Mary Hunt Allen. Mary Hunt Allen was actually married 3 times. She married first to a man named Mingus, and she had a few children with him, but he died young. And then she married William Allen and had a lot of children with William Allen, including Valentine. These are in Virginia, remember. When William Allen died, she married lastly to a man named Jefferson, but she didn't have any children with him, and she died married to him. Mary Hunt's father, of course, was William Hunt from Charles City, Virginia. They named it for King Charles. William Hunt's father was also named William Hunt, and his father was named William Hunt. So there was 3 generations. William Hunt, the 3rd generation, was born in England, and he died in Charles City, Virginia in 1676. He was the son of Reverend Robert Hunt, who was the first minister. He was the chaplain on board the Susan Constant, the ship Susan Constant. And you can Google that if you want to know more about that. So you have that Hunt ancestry on both the Morgan and the Brookshire sides, which again make Granny and Papa cousins again, which is kind of fun. Donna and I are cousins through some of those lines as well. All these people came to colonial Virginia, to Tidewater, Virginia, and then they came to North Carolina, partly for land and some of them for religion, freedom of religion, and most of them, they wanted the land. So that's what I want to focus on in this video is your Hunt ancestry, of course, your Allen and your Joyce lines. It's from Granny to her grandmother, Barbara Ann Sharp, who was George Kennedy Brookshire's mother. From Barbara to her father, John Perrin Sharp, to his mother, Matilda Joyce, to her parents, Ambrose Joyce and Celia Joyce, who were 2nd or 3rd cousins, and then to the Coon Joyces and the Possum Joyces. And the Possum Joyces married into the Allen family, and the Allens go back to the Hunts. So that's the connection. Well, that's all I'll give you in this video because it sure is enough. I really, if you want to know more about your family, go do some Googling. And if you have any questions, post them and I'll try to answer them for you. If you have additional information to add, post it and tell us. If you think I got something wrong, say, I don't think this is right, and tell me. I won't be offended because genealogists work together, trying to get things right. If you hadn't voted, go vote. Don't wait till the last minute. Anything can happen these days. So go vote. It's really important. Y'all stay well and do the right thing. Don't spread that virus around. Our numbers in our county are not good. We had been down to 16 in the hospital with 0 on event. Now we're at about 80 in the hospital with 10 on event because people are not doing what they need to do. They're getting in each other's face and passing those germs, and it's people that don't know they have it because they don't have any symptoms and they're passing. It's going like wildfire around here. So just have common sense. You don't need to live in fear. I don't believe in fear, but can't we be smart? Let's be smart. God knows I don't want it. So I'm praying for all of you to stay well, and it's going to be beautiful today. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you later and be back soon. Bye now.